And welcome to What's Up with This Weather. It is, I almost said July. You know why I said that? Because it feels like July.
It does feel like July, but it's not.
It's not.
It's barely June, honestly.
Painfully not. It's June 10th.
Yes.
And here we are with, let's see, is this day? I've been out of town a little bit. I think it's at least day 3 of heat advisories, might be day 4. I should know that. But it's been several days. It's been a long time.
It's been toasty, no matter the advisory or not.
Yeah, it's been rough out there. For the rest of the day today, if you're watching this live or even a little bit later today, take care of yourselves, each other, and of course those pets. Bring them inside. We'll have heat index values again to about 108 this afternoon. So. Yeah, it's kind of rough out there. Now, here's the good thing I can tell you, that we have a series of fronts. One's going to come in here tomorrow. It'll bring us some thunderstorms, some strong and severe, and another one for the weekend, which just about 45 seconds ago, Kevin Josephy, one of our photographers, came over and he said, "Is it going to rain this weekend? Because I got some fishing to do." And I said, "Saturday you're fine. Sunday, better bring a raincoat." Now, I'm not a big fisherman, but I'm wondering, how the change in weather affects fishing. So I got to go talk to him a little bit more about that.
You better try to make that rain work in his favor.
Yeah, Saturday will be great. Sunday, kind of wet out there. But hey, we need the rain. We have this drought, and we need the rain. So we got some cool stuff to talk about for us today. We are going to talk about the National Weather Service and all their ways of sensing the weather. We're going to take a trip down to Will Rogers, where we get our official high temperatures and low temperatures for Oklahoma City, where they measure the winds, all kinds of stuff like that. So we're going to look at what they do and how they maintain the sensors. We're going to look at Doppler radar. Really cool video there. And then also, oftentimes during severe season, we remind folks to have, of course, your phone, keep it charged. That's a way to receive warnings. The TV, a way to receive warnings. The KFR app, a way to receive warnings. But also NOAA Weather Radio. It's been around for decades, and it's still a really reliable way to get emergency weather information. And we're going to take a look at where this broadcast originates. I'm very much a nerd. And I think it's really cool to see, the little transmitter site, the antenna, the tower. How does all this stuff get to your house? So we're going to take a look at that, which is actually, I think, pretty cool. And you folks might find it fascinating as well.
I think it's cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, so we're going to take an in-depth look at that. Let's go through our current weather right now first, and then we'll kind of start to dive into our topic for today, which is all kinds of sensors. This is a live look here outside right now from the second tallest building in Oklahoma City, looking off to the south and east, and you can see a lot of sunshine out there, traffic moving fine, and a little glare of very bright sunshine off the First Americans Museum right there. You can see at the upper right-hand corner of your screen. So this is what we're going to look for in our weather forecast. A few storms today. They're not going to be terribly widespread. Better chance tomorrow, and talk about when the heat subsides. A little bit of a longer range outlook right here. This goes from June 15th through the 19th from the Climate Prediction Center, and it has good news for us. It has above average chances of rainfall in that period, some of which will start sooner than June 15th through 19th, but it continues. That's really good. And also in the same time frame, we're talking about below average chances for, high chances of below average temperatures. It's going to lean toward a cooler pattern. How about that? That's a better way to put it. Originating strongly in the northern, the upper Midwest, but also good chances of below normal temperatures right here where we live. So the heat confined to Florida and California the next week to a week and a half. Morning lows were very mild today. Not much break here. 76 in Oklahoma City. We'll look at where that was measured exactly coming up. 79 in Ponca City. And our temperatures now, they continue heating up. It's 1:34 p.m. on this Wednesday, 89 in OKC with some 90s off to the north. And yes, there are heat index values that will get very high today. We've gotten rid of a little bit of the moisture. When you look at dew points, upper 60s, you start to really feel it. 70s, it gets pretty muggy out there, so already starting to feel it. So heat index going to be a problem the rest of the day today, and still 8 o'clock tonight, feeling like the upper 90s. And look at tomorrow, 100 to 104, that heat index value. So it's going to be, quite a concern as we move forward. So I want to show... I think we should show the first clip here. We got a couple of these before we go to break, just to kind of let you know what we're going to get into here. And again, this is National Weather Service, there's a lot of different folks that maintain our sensors. The Oklahoma Mesonet is one. And we'll take a look here at the sensors at
Good
Will Rogers
afternoon. My
Airport.
name is Enrique Valenzuela. I'm an electronics technician for the National Weather Service. Right now we're here in Oklahoma City International Airport on our ASOS site.
You can see the terminal back there behind them.
This is a visibility sensor, visibility day and night. The way this thing works is you have a transmitter over here and a receiver. The transmitter will send the light. The receiver sees the light, and it depends on how much light it's gonna see. It's gonna tell you basically the visibility on nautical miles. And this is very important.
So let's pause that for just a second. What that is like a light,
that's a good
and then a piece
information
that captures the light. And
fly.
if less light comes through,
This right here,
it knows
this
that
is
there's fog out there. So he was talking about the visibility sensor. Really kind of cool how that works. So basically, if less light's coming through the little electric eye, it knows that there's some fog out there and there's a concern as far as visibility is concerned. So that's the visibility sensor there. And I believe we can go on. I think he's going to talk about the temperature and the dew point sensors, and then we'll get to more sensors here as we go forward. So there again is the big array of sensors out there. This is, where it's really flat, where the runways are, out by Will Rogers. And we'll kind of let him introduce himself here again. And I'll just
right now we're here in Oklahoma City.
Kind of be quiet. But again, it's really flat out there. There's nothing to get in the way of the wind sensors and the rain sensors and all that stuff. So
day and night.
This is the visibility
sensor. The way this thing works is you have a transmitter over here and a receiver. The transmitter will send the light. The receiver sees the light, and it depends on how much light it's gonna see. It's gonna tell you basically the visibility on nautical miles. And this is very important, especially here in the airport, because that's a good information the pilots need before they.
That's super important.
This right here, this is our freezing rain sensor. This one right now is turned off because it's not a freezing weather. Later on, when it starts getting cold, we come over here and we put power to the system. This little probe over here vibrates 40,000 hertz per second, and it depends on the accumulation of ice. It passes the information, and it will tell you basically how much ice we have around.
Pretty cool. So you can do that without someone observing it.
Our next sensor is our sky condition. So this one right here uses lasers, and is shooting up basically, and it tells you, whether it's a clear sky, or in this case we have some clouds over here. So it will tell you, how far the clouds are. And then
also
we can
for
move
pilots
to
too.
this sensor right here. This is our wind sensor. This one, you have three prongs over there. So this sensor will tell you the speed, velocity, and the speed direction. It uses sound, and depends on the sound how it moves from one prong to the other one. That's how the system tells the direction and the speed.
So that's pretty cool. It's not, there's no moving parts in that. It's called an ultrasonic anemometer. So it tells the direction and the wind speed literally by using differences in sounds in all three of those little prongs out there. So that's how they do it. It's a really great way, and it doesn't require a whole lot of maintenance. So we got a lot more coming up as far as the different types of sensors. We're going to look at Doppler radar and how that works. And of course, weather radio, one of my favorites. We'll take a look at all that coming up after the short break on What's Up With This Weather. And welcome back to What's Up With This Weather. We're going to head right back out to Will Rogers Airport. We're going to continue our discussion on how we actually measure the weather when we show you these things on TV. Hey, the high was this, the temperature is that, the wind speed's that. This is where it all comes from. Let's go to our second clip.
Next, we have this sensor right here that detects your air temperature and humidity. This right here and that one on that side. And that's pretty much, this one is pretty simple. Next right here.
This one's fascinating to me.
This is our water collection gauge. The way this one works, water goes into here, and this basically weights the liquid, and it tells you, by the weight, it tells you how many inches of rain or ice, is in the pocket. One thing that I would like to mention that I forgot to mention before, all these systems, they have heaters. So if it gets, to the point that it's gonna freeze, the heaters will come on. That way the sensors keep on working.
So that's pretty cool. You see the one that measures the temperature and the dew point and all that. It has like a little dome on it, and there's actually a fan that pulls the air through there, and it's painted white on purpose because if it was any other color, it would get artificially warm. Black attracts heat and solar radiation, so white reflects all the sun away, so you get the actual air temperature. And I found it pretty fascinating that for the rain collection, it actually puts it in that bucket like thing, and it weighs it. I think that's really cool. I'm sure obviously then it lets some out after it weighs it. It's a really cool way. And he's talking about how it's heated. So yes, when you have snow or freezing rain or all that or ice, you get the actual liquid amount. But I never really imagined the bucket being that big.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible just how all of the parts work in the bigger process.
Yeah. I have a little weather station at home, and the way it measures rain is it has a little funnel, and inside, I have to clean it out sometimes because the spider will build a web and it'll mess it up. Inside, there's a little kind of tick-tock a little device that there's a little cup on one side and on the other. So this cup will fill up, it'll tip, the water will come out. This cup will fill up, it'll tip, the water will come out. And it knows every time it goes back and forth once, that's 0.01 inches. So it's literally just a switch. Every time the switch gets flipped, it'll count up one. And that's a really simple way of doing it. Theirs is a lot more advanced. So mine's just kind of like, those birds that would go down and drink and go up? It's kind of like that.
That's pretty cool.
So that's how a lot of the home weather stations work right there. So weather radio, a lot of folks have them. I have them. You can program them just to your county. If you just want to hear tornado warnings, nothing else, or severe thunderstorm warnings, nothing else, you can set them up exactly however you want. The broadcast on a normal day like this, and there's no severe weather right now, it just plays the National Weather Service forecast, which is also kind of handy. When there's severe weather, it can have an alarm go off. A voice will come on and tell you what's going on. Tornado warning for Central Canadian County. It's moving here. It's going to be here at this time. It's really life-saving information, but it has to originate from somewhere. Where is that somewhere? Let's go ahead and take a look.
Hello, I'm William Nardi with the National Weather Service. My job is to service the NOAA weather radios. Right now we have 13 of them, and let's take a quick look inside one of our shelters.
So this one's in Chickasha, just for example, and we'll show you the map of where they are coming up.
This is one of our more common ones. It's a Crown 300 watt. This one has a coverage of about 50 to 60 miles. It has 2 transmitters to give it redundancy. In case we lose one, it will automatically switch over to the secondary transmitter. Both of them are tuned to the same frequency. We maintain the same power output as balanced as we can possibly get it.
So what that is, that box right there, so think of a walkie-talkie, all right? So you can maybe, some of them, if you're in a line of sight, you can go 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. They have a little teeny tiny transmitter inside the walkie-talkie. That's how the signal gets out. That was a much bigger version of that right there. That one was 300 watts, and it goes up the antenna and then goes to our homes and gives us the warnings. A lot of radio stations, they can be, FM radio stations, they can be 1,000 watts, they can be 10,000. Some are as much as 100,000 watts. So 300 is, kind of lower end, but there's a lot of them spaced all over the state. And basically you go buy weather radio and you just set up where you're at. It'll find the nearest one, and then you're covered. It'll be quiet until there's a warning, which is really, really helpful for a lot of folks. It's a good thing to have. It's like a smoke alarm. It's a good thing to have in your house, because your phone will go off for tornado warnings, but if there's ever sort of a cellular outage or your phone battery dies or just other things, these are always there. They have battery backup. I have one, mine's in the kitchen. So kind of wherever you are in the house, you'll at least hear the alarm and figure out, what's going on here.
And I want to point out that it's really important to also check those batteries and or that it works when you check your smoke detectors, because you don't use them that often, so you need to make sure they're still working.
Yeah, I mean, mine just sits there. I don't even notice it's there really until it goes off.
Until it goes off, and then you're like, oh yeah, I have that.
Same with the smoke alarm. You're never just looking at, oh yeah, there it is. I probably should. And a good reminder.
I remember that I have that when it goes off around midnight.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or if I'm cooking, then I remember. Yeah, I got smoke alarms at work. Yeah, it's we say a lot of time, if you can't remember, just think about the time change. It happens twice a year, so you're supposed to do it. Every, they say 6 months. The time changes aren't exactly 6 months, but it's a good reminder. Smoke alarm batteries and weather radio batteries, just change them out then. It's a small price to pay for a couple AA's or a 9-volt that could potentially save your life and your family's life. So before we go to break, I want to show you a map of where all these weather radio sites are. And you might have to kind of study this map for a second. So it does have Kansas and Texas in there too. But you can see that there's Woodward. And this is the numbers there. That's called the frequency. So 162.500 or 162.475. Back in the day, you would have to actually dial it into that number. Now, most weather radios, even inexpensive ones, will just tune to it. They will just find the nearest one. There's 7 different frequencies. So there's one in Stillwater, there's one in Enid, Ponca City, Woodward, there's Clinton, there's Altus, Lawton, Chickasha, Ardmore, Wewoka, Atoka, and you can see all of those right there. And the good thing is, if one of them is down and our friend that we just met there has to go fix it, there's space so that you still should be able to get a secondary one in most locations. So there's kind of redundancy and backup that's already built into it, which is certainly good. But I mean, it's really cool. I mean, this is old technology. I'm not going to lie. It's old technology, but it's nice that it's there and we continue to maintain it to help warn folks. And even you can see even in sparsely populated areas like Ulysses, Kansas, or Springfield, Colorado, or Meade, Kansas, not a lot of people live there. However, there's still space in a manner where coverage should be available for almost everybody. And some of those areas might not even have cell phone service. That's another thing to think about. If you've been on a road trip, right? And you're in some areas and you're like, I have no bars. I have no cell phone service.
Camping. It's vacation time. This would be a perfect item to add to your road trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of times people are vacationing to places, they're just not familiar with the weather patterns. Mm-hmm. Because I know a lot of people, when they come to Oklahoma and they hear even that Saturday siren, mm-hmm. they go into panic mode because they just don't know to expect that. Mm-hmm. So if you have a weather radio with you, man, that's just extra protection. And
there's a lot of camping items too that have them built in. Like I've seen a lantern, which you'd use in a tent. It also has a weather radio built into it. So you don't have to carry multiple things. Yeah. You have one of those too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to carry multiple things and you still have that protection with you. But it's just kind of cool to see that little box that was there is how it gets from the weather service office to wherever you are. It's really cool, in my opinion. We're going to take a short little break here. We got one more little segment. We're going to talk about weather radar. We have our own here at KFOR. We're going to look at the National Weather Services and just kind of look at the parts and pieces that make it all work. That's next after the short break on What's Up With This Weather. And welcome back to What's Up With This Weather. We are talking about all kinds of sensors. We learned about how they literally weigh the rain instead of measure it. Well, it is a measurement, but they don't use a yardstick or something. They weigh the rain and the snow and the ice and how the temperature sensor works and how the wind sensor doesn't even have moving parts. It's really cool. Now we're going to take a look at Doppler radar. This is going to be the one, they're all the same all over the country. They're called WSR 88D for those that really want to get technical. This one is located on the southeast sides of the metro. Its call letters are KTLX, Twin Lakes. And it's near Bethel Acres, just off to the west of Bethel Acres, which is near Shawnee. So this is a technician, which all these folks are technicians, and you just briefly, you were talking about the technicians and how important.
Oh yeah, they really keep radio going. Mm-hmm. People think it's digital or online. There are actual people that make all those connections work, especially in the rural parts of our state. And because people don't realize most of Oklahoma is rural, mm-hmm. except for the metro. And they really rely on those radio stations and radio frequencies to get the weather radio.
Yeah, and those, in such a vast space, you have to have them every so often because you wouldn't get signal. So this is a look at the big old Doppler radar that's off to the southeast of Oklahoma City that covers the metro and a lot of central parts of the state.
What radar does is it measures the time from the time that pulse leaves the antenna till it returns. And that will tell it how far out that target is from the antenna. After the signal returns from the target into the antenna,
the target is like
it's coming into the receiver system. It'll come down these pipes through a waveguide across here into this building. And in this building, it'll come into our receiver. Our receiver then filters everything through a computer processing system to where it breaks it down into its raw data and
which is what we show you on air.
Sends it to the office, and there it will create a three-dimensional model of the clouds.
Okay. So that is the outside part of the radar, and inside the shelter, he goes on to talk about a couple things, how there's a really giant transmitter in there, 1 million watts, a lot of power, and little processing computers and all that. And that's how it gets to the Weather Service. That's how it gets here with our own radar. It's the same. And that's how it ultimately gets to your home or your phone when you look at radar on your phone. That's literally what's outside to keep us safe inside.
That's pretty cool.
It's really cool, and there's a lot of maintenance that has to happen on it. You don't just turn it on and leave it alone for 20 years. You have to keep calibrating it and looking at it and fixing some things that go wrong. And when you saw the round white thing, it looks like a ginormous golf ball.
Yeah.
The actual dish that's in there that moves around is 33 feet in diameter. It's huge.
We showed our viewers what that looks like a few episodes ago.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. And we were going kind of on a deep dive into Doppler radar. It's absolutely a huge dish up there. So that saves lives. That's what it does. That's what it's out there to do. So we're about running out of time right now, but we are, I just want to let folks know, if you're watching this on a Wednesday, we will have a couple isolated storms this afternoon. Most of them will be up in Kansas today. There is a tiny risk that some form deeper into Oklahoma. Tomorrow, the cold front comes through. Not a lot of cold air, but widespread thunderstorms in a line. They'll come through in the afternoon and evening hours. Could be some damaging hail and high wind gusts. And then for the weekend, Saturday is mostly good. It's going to be hot again, but Sunday morning, a cold front will come through. Boy, is this going to be good for Oklahoma. Widespread rain showers, thunderstorms, and temperatures that'll be in the 70s on Sunday, and that's less than hot weather remains around Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday of next week. So something to look forward to right there. We're going to let you go right now, but we'll see you next week, next Wednesday at 1:30 on What's Up With This Weather. Thanks for watching.